You know, I wonder why Delta Airlines cut off Congress. Not even that. I know why they did it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think more people are finding out that there was a congressional perk desk today that never even knew it. I'm pretty sure. I feel like what happened was when Delta said, hey, we're going to shut down all of the congressional access. We're not going to let the Congress people who have shut down TSA. I feel like what's going to happen now is people are realizing that Congress had these special perks. They do. They get special perks. They have a special desk at the airport, and they can go right up to that desk, and they can walk right on the plane, and they can go right into the special congressional lounge or whatever it is. They've got a special phone line that they can call. And what happens is if they have to get back to Washington, D.C. for a vote, or if there's some kind of important thing going on back in their district, whatever it is, they can just pick up the phone. They can call that specific special number. And then whoever answers on the other end of the line will do whatever it takes to make sure that they accommodate that congressperson or senator or whatever it is. If it means booting somebody off of the plane or rearranging seats, they'll do that because Congress gets these perks. Congress has been for years has been taking advantage of it. Remember Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders flies private. Why? Well, because he doesn't want to stand in line. He doesn't want to stand in line with the rigmarole, with the riffraff like you and I. But the fact of the matter is, what he neglected to tell you is that he doesn't have to stand in line because people in Congress don't stand in line. They're different than you and me. They get special treatment. Well, they did get special treatment until they kept TSA shut down. Atlanta's Delta Airlines announced this week it is suspending its standalone service for members of Congress until the TSA is fully funded. Due to the impact on resources from the long-standing government shutdown, Delta will temporarily suspend specialty services to members of Congress flying Delta. The statement read, next to safety, Delta's number one priority is taking care of our people and customers, which has become increasingly difficult in the current environment. A spokesperson for Delta told the AJC, which stands for Atlanta Journal-Constitution, that House and Senate members will now be treated like all flying passengers according to their Sky Miles status. In other words, just like you and me. So if you're a congressperson, if you're a senator, and if you were taking advantage of and really enjoyed all of the special perks that you got because you were a congressman or a senator and you got to go to the special desk and you got to go to the special lounge and you got to go to all of those places that the rest of us don't get to go, if you're a member of Congress, you no longer have that option on Delta. Now, I don't know about the other, there's other airlines. I don't know what no other airline, as far as I know, has made any kind of dispensation or has revoked, I guess, dispensation for members of Congress, but it doesn't mean that they won't. It'd be a great move if all the airlines did it. And again, there are people that still fly private, like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, who famously told Brett Baer, what do you want me to do? Stand in line at United?
Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No, it doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And no apologies for that. No apologies. Do you think I'm going to stand around with 30,000 people at United? No way. I got a private jet paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. I mean, it's insane how ridiculously elitist he sounds when he's out fighting the oligarchy, which was a great point. That was my favorite line by Brett Baer. Donald Trump? You ever see Donald Trump at National Airport? Donald Trump? Well, no, but Donald Trump's not fighting the oligarchy. You are, and you're flying around on $220,000 worth of your campaign contributions. But on Delta, that's no longer. Delta has shut it down until the TSA is funded, which, by the way, the TSA may not be funded anytime soon. Why? Because it appears that ICE is doing a bang up job.
There may be a celebration here at the airport before it's all said and done, especially for the folks who've been working nonstop, extra shifts. If you look right here, you can see this is the main checkpoint. Almost no lines, no waiting, Sarah. And it's unbelievable at this point. This morning started briskly with a lot of people showing up here at the airport. Lines were long. People were waiting about an hour. But when that rush hour went away pretty quickly this morning, we ended up with this. And there seems to be more lines open than normal right now with the TSA workers here breezing people through. In fact, a lot of folks have been showing up shocked at how short the lines are. Take a listen to some of the folks we talked to this morning.
I don't see how extra security could be bad, you know.
Right.
I mean, they're going to help out and, you know, make things move a little faster. But whether they're doing that or not, we don't know. But extra security is always good to me.
I mean, you think it's not going to be that bad, but then you get here and, you know, you think, oh, man, it really is as bad as they say it is.
So there's a bit of a mix here. So when people were showing up and going...
Yeah, anyways, she just seemed like she was annoyed by everything. But it's all over Phoenix Airport. People loved that the ICE agents were there. There was this older couple who was like, yeah, it's great, bring it on.
When you see ICE agents, you know, being deployed, what goes through your mind?
I like it. I mean, I think Trump's doing a hell of a job.
No.
I like it.
Most of the travelers we spoke with say while it's disappointing the current shutdown is having a negative impact on TSA staff, they're pleased to see ICE agents stepping in.
They're protecting us.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's all you can look. What else are you going to say? ICE agents are protecting us. And there's empty lines in airports all over the country.
But I do want to point out, this is an empty line right now. We are standing in the middle where travelers come to check in for TSA. Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage. So good news today, lines aren't too bad.
No, she was actually pointing to the TSA pre-check line, which, you know, was empty. But the line next to it was also fairly, fairly short. So it seems like ICE is working. And with the ICE agents coming to the rescue, the ICE agents making sure that the lines are not straggling and that people are able to get through and get processed and get on their planes, maybe TSA will be shut down even longer. Maybe TSA will be shut down even longer because ICE is at the airports. Now, not everybody was happy with ICE being at the airport, as you might imagine. There was CNN. What is this? There was, CNN went after Scott Jennings because Scott Jennings said, hey, did you hear anything going on at the airport? And there was one instance in California, wouldn't you know it, where an ICE agent arrested somebody.
Is there a single report today of something going awry with ICE agents?
Well, thank God for 24 hours something bad didn't happen.
Maybe there is.
There was an ICE agent refusing to identify himself, arresting a woman in an airport, freaking people out. They weren't even sure it was in San Francisco airport.
Well, what kind of an interaction was it actually? Do you know the situation?
It was an arrest. I don't know. Scott, what information do you have?
Who did they arrest? Now you're bringing it up. Who did they arrest?
No, I'm saying
internet. We'll need the internet.
Scott, two senior administrators.
Meanwhile, this woman was arrested by ICE Sunday at San Francisco's airport. DHS says she's from Guatemala, had a deportation order signed by a judge, and tried to flee as officers were deporting her. DHS saying the incident was unrelated to efforts to help TSA.
Yeah, because that happened on Sunday, and the efforts to help TSA didn't even happen until yesterday. And this post went viral. This wasn't it at all. This was.
What's your name? Can show the badge. Where's the badge?
Where's your bag?
Can someone call 911?
That's just people harassing ICE agents again, as they do. I mean, in California, they do that kind of thing. They like to harass ICE agents, and they like to, tell everybody, well, the ICE agents arrested this woman and dragged her off. Well, she was also an illegal alien, and apparently she was resisting arrest. And the thing. We've been through this before. We know exactly what's happening. Which Donald Trump, by the way, he's coming up with these ideas again that you can't really blame him for because it's all the Democrats' fault. The Democrats are the ones, once again, who have shut down TSA. The Democrats are the ones who are not funding DHS. The Democrats are the ones who are putting Americans in harm's way and creating all this anxiety and angst and agony at the airports. Why? Because they want leverage. No matter what Hakeem Jeffries says, we know that they want leverage. We know that Chuck Schumer and Catherine Clark and the rest of them see this as leverage. This is a way for the Democrats to leverage the American people's pain leverage. They're stealing your time, which is what it is. I mean, the time you spend at the airport is time that you can't spend at home with your family. It's time that you can't spend on vacation or on spring break. It's time that you can't spend doing the things that you really want to do with your time because you're waiting at the airport for TSA agents who aren't there because, well, the Democrats are refusing to pay them. And why? Because Democrats care more about illegal aliens than they do American citizens. And Donald Trump sending the ICE agents, I mean, it is genius. It's 100% genius for Donald Trump to have sent the ICE agents in to work in place of TSA agents, because that's just going to, I mean, the Democrats, they're trying to blame Republicans for TSA not being there. And then Donald Trump says, fine, you do that all you want. I'm going to send in ICE, which makes hardcore Democrats even angrier. Think about that. Hardcore Democrats are even angrier now that ICE is at airports. And the reason ICE is at airports is because Democrats shut down TSA. It's, Donald, he knows how to stick the knife into the wound. He knows how to twist it just the right way to make it so uncomfortable. And Tom Homan was like, this is a genius. Tom Homan was on the news again yesterday saying, look, this is genius.
Why would any member of Congress defund the Transportation Security Administration that protects our skies? Why would they defund Coast Guard? Why would they defund CISA against cyber attacks? Why would they defund FEMA? I mean, you're talking about not funding the Department of Homeland Security, which is their number one responsibility as a representative in Congress, to protect this country. And they're voting not to protect this country. And look, Donald Trump made a brilliant move this week, and he called me and says, let's send ICE to the airport. I thought it was a smart move. And we're filling the holes. The wait lines already dropped. Plus, we're doing a security function at the airports. We're going to arrest criminals going through this airport. We're going to look for human trafficking, sex trafficking, money smuggling. We're going to be at the airports working with our brothers and sisters of TSA. They're our brothers and sisters within DHS. President Trump made a smart move. We're going to keep the airplanes flying. We're going to get the American people to those lines quicker. And we're not going to give up President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safer every day. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah, there you go. So you've got, I mean, and that's basically, what the Democrats were afraid of. Tom Homan just admitted it. Tom Homan said what the Democrats were afraid of. He goes, the Democrats, they think that we're going to go to the airports and we're going to start arresting people. Well, guess what? We are. If they're money launderers or drug runners or human traffickers or gang members, whatever, we're going to arrest them. If these people are, if they're bad people, if they're on our list, we are going to do whatever we can to get rid of them. We're going to arrest them. We're going to take them off the streets. And so it's double duty. And maybe that's, like I said yesterday, why some of the lines weren't as long. Because if you're an illegal, if you're a criminal thug gang member, if you're somebody who shouldn't be there, if you're a Somali immigrant coming in here to defraud the United States of America by opening up a Leering Center in Minneapolis, if you're any one of those people and you realize ICE is going to be at the airport, you're going to be like, maybe I'm not going to go to the airport today. Maybe I'm going to cancel my flight today. Maybe the airport isn't the best place for me. And you're going to skedaddle. And then it's going to be a lot less crowded. There's this great TV show. I really like to see it. It's liberal. I mean, all TV shows are made by liberals, but this one, there's some liberal undertones. It's called The Pit. And it's about what's it about? It's about an ER in Pittsburgh. They call it The Pit. And it's pretty good. Noah Wiley's in it. He's a big liberal, but that's all right. But the episode, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this week's episode yet, I'm going to spoil it for you. One of the things that happens is this particular season, it follows, the entire day, and it's the 4th of July, and the waiting room is packed. The waiting room is packed, jam-packed with people. They're sick, they're smelly, they're sweaty, they're bleeding, they're coughing. Like a typical 4th of July summer waiting room in Pittsburgh would be. And the doctors, and then of course there's this like cyber hack, so the computers are down, so everything's running slower. So of course the office is again, it's like double jam-packed with the amount of people in there. And so what happens is these ICE agents show up with this woman that they arrested. And apparently when they were arresting her, she hit her elbow and bruised it, and they thought maybe she'd be injured. So what did they do? They brought her to the hospital, which I thought was very nice. I thought, oh, this is nice. The ICE agents hurt this woman got hurt while she was getting arrested. The ICE agents didn't just say, suck it up, buttercup. They brought her to the ER. I go, that's great. Well, everyone at the ER was like, whoa, there's ICE agents here, right? Because they're all liberals. They're like, whoa, there's ICE. What's happening? And so all of a sudden, The ICE agents are in the hospital. They're with this patient who they're trying to check out, and the waiting room clears out. Like all of a sudden, the nurse on call is like, Jose Guerrero, please come to the admittance desk. And there's nobody. And then she goes out, she's like, Jose Guerrero. And there's no Jose Guerrero. And then she realizes the waiting room's like half empty. Why? ICE was there. And because ICE was there, all the illegals left. And then everyone else who was there was like, great, can I get treated? I mean, really, we should put ICE at every crowded place. I think that would be great. If you want to really clear out, like if you're trying to get into a movie, what's a big movie? I don't even know. Maybe like the new Spider-Man comes out this summer, right? Here's what I would do. If you're going to see the Spider-Man movie on opening night and you want to make sure that the theater's not crowded, just call ICE to the movie theater. Call ICE and say, hey, I think there's some activity at the movie theater. You better get down here. And then, the line will clear out. Half the people will leave. Because apparently that's exactly what happens. And Donald Trump is like, look, we want, and here's the thing. Donald Trump is like, we want ICE agents to be able to still, deport these people. And if, they can kill two birds with one stone, that's great. But the other thing Donald Trump wants his legislation passed. He wants the Save America Act passed. And he doesn't want anybody going away until it's done. In fact, he was in Memphis yesterday where he visited, Donald Trump visited Graceland. This is if you didn't listen to the 47daily.com or 47 Daily podcast this morning, you should definitely go back and listen to it. It was such a fun one. Donald Trump went to Graceland yesterday where he'd never been before, and he signed a guitar and he walked around and he asked the lady working there who would win in a fight, him or Elvis. Like, I can't make this stuff up, but he was thrilled.
We love Elvis. Who doesn't love Elvis? Everybody loves Elvis, right? Hello. How are you? Hi. How are you? Nice to see you.
Welcome to the second most visited president of America.
Wow, that's very good.
Your house is number one.
It's pretty good too, right? Yes.
Yeah, the second most visited house in America. I didn't know that. I knew that the White House was the most visited house in America. I didn't know that the Graceland was number 2 on that list. Makes sense. More so than even the Biltmore House, which is very popular. What's the other one? The one where Monticello, where Thomas Jefferson lived, also very popular. What's the George Washington one there? It's in Washington D.C. It's called shoot. Hang on. Why do I forget it? Washington's house is called. It's called. What is it called? Hold on. Wait a minute. Why am I blanking on this? Washington's house is called Mount Vernon. Isn't that right? Isn't it Mount Vernon? I think that's Mount Vernon. Anyway, yeah, that's exactly right. Mount Vernon. So anyway, there's all these different historic houses, but Graceland is the second most visited after the White House. Fun fact, by the way, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm more of a Mount Vernon guy. I like Thomas Jefferson a lot, but I've been to both Mount Vernon and Monticello, and Mount Vernon's more my speed. It's right there on the river. It's got the nice farmland. It's very manageable. It's a nice white house. Big. Monticello is just like way at the top of the hill, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It wasn't really my thing. I definitely prefer Mount Vernon, but I digress. And I've never been to Graceland. I imagine I would love Graceland. I have been to the White House, so there's that. But the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump goes to Graceland and he's walking around and he's in Memphis. And one of the things he said is that, look, the Congress, the Senate's got to pass the Save America Act.
So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those two items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell them. That would be a damn good thing. The most important part of Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. So we're tying them together.
There you go. So Donald Trump is saying, look, we're tying everything together and we want the Congress to vote on this. He says, don't worry about going home for Easter. Don't recess. He's saying, do not recess. Stay exactly where you are. Stay where you are. Do not recess. Don't gavel out. Keep everybody there because, again, this is leverage. You want to talk about leverage, right? The Democrats talk about leverage all the time. The Democrats talk about how they leverage the anxiety and the agony and the time of the American people. The Democrats are out there going, you know what? We don't care that the lines at the airport are long. We've got our own line. Actually, they don't anymore, thanks to Delta shutting it down. Unless you're Bernie Sanders, AOC, or Nancy Pelosi. I know there's a handful of others that have access to private jets, but unless you're one of those private jet setting Congress people, you're now ill-affected by the TSA shutdown. And Donald Trump wants everybody to be ill-affected by the fact that the Save America Act hasn't passed. And he doesn't care if the senators and the Congress people don't get to go home for Easter. Do this one for Jesus, he says. Do this one for Jesus. And Mike Lee, who is the architect, along with President Donald Trump, of the Save America Act, he was on X mentioning the same thing. He said, yeah, we should probably do whatever we need to do to make sure this thing gets passed.
President Trump has made clear that he thinks that we shouldn't recess and that we should stay here over the next 2 weeks to continue to debate the Save America Act until we get it passed and to make sure that the Department of Homeland Security is funded. I stand behind that strongly. We have no business taking a recess right now with all of this happening. Now, regardless of what happens over the next few weeks, our message still needs to be the same. With respect to Save America, whether we're in session or whether even if they make the unfortunate decision, which I've strongly recommend against, of recessing, we've got to use either one as an opportunity to message, particularly to Democratic senators, any senators who are opposed to the Save America Act. We need to use this as an opportunity to make them explain what exactly it is about voter ID that they find so objectionable, or what it is about efforts to make sure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. Why do they find that so objectionable? Either way, our message has to be the same, and we can't let up, not even for a minute. I hope and stand by President Trump in saying we shouldn't recess, should keep this up. But even if they make the wrong decision on this, we've still got to keep that messaging up and insist that if they take that unfortunate step and continue with the recess, that we get right back to it and continue debating it until it is passed when we get back. Keep up the message and we'll win.
No, it's kind of redundant, but he's basically said, look, it's all on John Thune now. And if there's anything we know about John Thune is not the best majority leader for a couple of reasons. Look, there's a lot of problems with John Thune. First of all, he's a Mitch McConnell guy. Mitch McConnell brought him up. He was one of Mitch McConnell's lieutenants. Mitch McConnell was like his dude. Mitch McConnell handpicked him. Rick Scott tried to get elected. Rick Scott was like, let me be the Senate majority leader because I'm not tied to Mitch McConnell. I don't owe my candidacy or my Senate seat to Mitch McConnell. And there were a handful of people, Mike Lee was one of them, about 10 of them, that said, yeah, Rick Scott, make Rick Scott the majority leader. Because we don't want any McCarthyites. McConnellites. Pardon me, McCarthyites are totally different. We don't want any Mitch McConnellites. We don't want any mini Mitches running around. But that's exactly what we got. In John Thune, we got a mini Mitch. John Cornyn got booted. Rick Scott lost the vote. So we got mini Mitch McConnell. And now John Thune is sitting there going, okay, here's the dealio. He's looking around going, all right, I'm the majority leader and I have a 6-year term and I have no term limits. So I could technically be majority leader for decades. I mean, Mitch McConnell was. That's his mentor. That's his idol. John Thune's whole goal, his whole idea, his whole role in life right now is to be the majority leader or the minority leader as long as possible. And as long as the Republicans are in office and as long as he can keep winning in North Dakota, he's going to retain the rank of majority leader in the Senate or minority leader should the Democrats win. And he's just fine with that. He's just fine with that. And he knows that because he could be there for decades, he's got to think longer term than President Donald Trump. Donald Trump is there till 2028. That's it. Donald Trump is there till 2028 and then he's gone. And John Thune knows it. So if he does what Donald Trump wants to do now, if he doesn't recess Congress for Easter and he forces them to stay there and debate the SAVE Act, and if he forces Democrats to jump up and admit that they are all against voter ID and they love illegal aliens, something we already know is true. I don't know what the problem would be. But if he does that, that could cost him politically after President Donald Trump's gone. And if there's a Democrat president, God forbid that ever happens, but if there's another Democrat president somewhere in the future and John Thune is in the Senate, he's not going to be able to work with him at all. He's not going to get anything he wants done. So he's thinking long term. And that's one of the problems with no term limits. If you had term limited senators who could only serve 2 terms, then you'd have a new majority leader all the time and they wouldn't be wedded to the long-term goals. They wouldn't have to worry about what happens after the president's gone because they would also be gone shortly thereafter. But we don't have that. That's a whole conversation. It's a whole conversation for another day. So John Thune is probably going to do the wrong thing. And the Democrats are going to get off scot-free once again. They're going to go home for Easter and they're not going to have to worry about standing up and explaining why they think illegal aliens are more important than American citizens. Also, this is the other thing. The Democrats, they've really taken a weird tact with this Save America Act. The Democrats' whole plan now in arguing the Save America Act is let's convince everybody we're stupid. Which again, you don't need to convince me. But the Save America Act, one of the things that the Democrats are really hammering home, and they're doing it a lot. I don't know who came up with this, but they're hammering home the fact that they're too stupid to get a birth certificate. First of all, half of them are claiming they have no birth certificate whatsoever, or they couldn't find their birth certificate, or if you said, where's your birth certificate, they wouldn't be able to tell you. That's half of them. The other half are like, everybody else is also too stupid. We're all just a bunch of stupid Americans who can't find our birth certificate. In fact, Joe Scarborough was on MSNBC with his wife, Mika Brzezinski, and he was basically saying, my wife's so stupid that she can't get her birth certificate.
Not only does Mika not know where her original birth certificate is, which under the SAVE Act would get her kicked off the voters' rolls, and then she'd have to come back and re-register, and she would find out on election day that she could not vote.
That's like, not only is she so stupid that she doesn't know where her birth certificate is.
Not only does Mika not know where her original birth certificate is, which under the SAVE Act would get her kicked off the voters' rolls, and then she'd have to come back and re-register, and she would find out on election day that she could not vote.
How are these people still on? I always wonder how these people are still on the TV. It is really crazy to me. But anyway, that's basically what's going on with Morning Joe and Mika Brzezinski and everybody out there. Their argument is we're just too stupid to get our birth certificates. We're too stupid. We're not going to be able to vote. We're going to get kicked off the voter rolls because we can't A, find our birth certificates, B, get a new birth certificate. And if we got married, forget about it. We just might as well not vote. And we're just going to run around screaming, we got disenfranchised. It's an interesting plan. It really is an interesting plan. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is making America great again, city by city. He was in Memphis, like we said, for the Graceland visit where he asked, and the people think I'm kidding. No, he literally asked. He asked the curator or the woman in charge, I don't know, the tour guide, I don't know who she is, but she was there and she was getting President Donald Trump to autograph a guitar. And Donald Trump said, hey, who would win in a fight, me or Elvis?
Elvis had 2 8th degree black belts in karate. One was in Kenpo, and that's what this
was. He really good, or was it just...
Actually, he was really good.
Okay.
He started practicing.
Could I have taken him in a fight?
I don't know, you might.
I think he would have been respectful enough to let you win.
Yes, he probably would.
But he and Bruce Lee really brought...
Really?
Karate, yeah, he would have been... But he and Bruce Lee really brought karate to the West.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's good.
Yep.
It's very good. Well, Bruce Lee was pretty good, right?
Yeah, Bruce Lee was... Bruce Lee was pretty good. Bruce Lee was pretty good at that karate. Elvis, I guess, I didn't know Elvis was a big karate kind of guy. I knew Chuck Norris because, Chuck Norris, may he rest in peace. I was watching all weekend. They were showing Chuck Norris. They were showing him fighting Bruce Lee in his big screen debut. They were showing him kick Dean Martin across the other way. I got to see all the Walker, Texas Ranger clip. Man, I saw so many Walker, Texas Ranger clips this weekend. It was really kind of fun to see, but sad under the circumstance. But I didn't know Elvis was like the Chuck Norris of Memphis, but apparently he was. He and Bruce Lee would battle it out, and Donald Trump goes, hey, who would win if I fought Elvis? I don't know. That'd be and again, I joked this morning on the 47 Daily Podcast. I go, I wonder if anybody has yet created an AI video of Donald Trump and Elvis fighting Kung Fu style. I wonder if that's happening. If that hasn't happened yet, somebody call the Dilly meme team or something and tell them to get on it, because we definitely need video, some kind of meme of Donald Trump and Elvis in a bitter battle of kung fu greatness. But anyway, Donald Trump was there in Memphis because Memphis is now safe again. What happened was, D.C. was horrible. People were getting murdered and carjacked, and Big Balls had to save that woman who was getting attacked in the middle of the night, and then Big Balls got all bloodied, and Donald Trump said, that's enough. That's enough. If you bloody Big Balls, then I'm stepping in. And he brought in the National Guard, and he brought in Judge Jeanine. He brought in everybody and said, clean up this mess. And sure enough, they did. They brought Judge Jeanine came in, and the National Guard came in, and they went after the attackers, and they went after the gangs, and DC's safe. And Donald Trump went out to dinner, and he said, "Look, we're all going out to dinner now. We're all going out to dinner. The dinner is just everyone's going out to dinner. Restaurants were empty. Now they're full because people feel safe in Washington D.C. And even ABC News reporters were like, I used to not want to walk to my car at night. Now I can walk to my car at night thanks to President Donald Trump." Well, Memphis called. They raised their hand. They're like, "Excuse me." They're Memphis, so they're like, "Excuse me, can we get some of that down here? Because we're all getting murdered as well." And so Donald Trump's like, "Memphis, you want some of this?" And they're like, "Yeah, we want some of that." And he's like, "Okay, great." So Memphis was the next on the list, and Donald Trump sent everybody down there, and bada bing, bada boom, wouldn't you know it, when you increase law enforcement, when you increase the law enforcement presence, when you actually convict and prosecute criminals, when you put them away, when you make some kind of, when you make, you like if you commit a crime, there's some kind of, penalty. When you do that, crime goes down.
So today I'm pleased to announce that the Secretary of War used to be the Secretary of Defense. We made a minor change. We like the sound of it better. That the Secretary of War has just signed a directive to ensure that all National Guard members serving on this task force, as well as in D.C., New Orleans, and our border security missions, will receive the same benefits as active duty troops because you deserve it. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Look at that. There you go. So Donald Trump saying, "Look, it's safe. It's not bad. Yada yada. This and that. All things considered." And so Donald Trump's like, "Look, what we're doing is we're making things safe for America. Everything's great, and we're doing it city by city." And so we now have Donald Trump making Memphis safe again. And man, not only that, but who's really hype about it? Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, he said something that was, you want to think about, listen to what Stephen Miller said about President Donald Trump making Memphis and all these other cities safe again.
Well, first and most importantly, thank you to President Trump, whose vision and courage and determination has achieved something that if you had predicted it 15 months ago, people would have said it was impossible. If you had said 15 months ago that we would achieve the lowest national murder rate, not in 5 years or 10 years or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40, but in the 125 years, nobody would have believed it possible. And President Trump did exactly that, and it is a miracle. Just think about this for a second. Under President Trump's leadership, the largest reduction in murders in American history, the largest reduction in violent crime in American history, the largest reduction in drug overdose deaths in American history, the largest reduction in fentanyl in American history, the largest reduction in illegal immigration in American history, and the largest number of criminals arrested, removed, or deported in American history, all done in 1 year. If I would just say this, if we had an honest media in this country, the statistics I just gave you would be 24/7 on the news. Nobody could have ever predicted such an achievement would be possible. The second thing I want to thank President Trump for is assembling the greatest national security and public safety team in American history. Because President Trump believes in merit, in competence, in people who get things done. So you look around the table of who President Trump chose for these jobs. You start with Rob or Gaddy or Pam or Pete, Cash, Todd, Terry, the whole entire team. What President Trump put together has never been rivaled in history. That's how you get things done. He chooses people based on their skill, their competence, their ability, their determination, their dedication, and their loyalty, and you're seeing the results. So I just want to again thank President Trump and, of course, thank the governor as well, who picked up that phone, called President Trump, and said, I want you to help make Memphis safe, although I bet the governor would agree he could never have imagined this safe, this quickly, this many people behind bars. And let's just remember that because of the work that President Trump is doing, not only in Memphis, not only in Washington, D.C., but all over the country, ultimately, it will save and is saving tens of thousands of American lives. It is, I'll use that word again, what President Trump has done on border security and public safety is a national miracle that will be studied not only for generations, but for centuries to come. Thank you, President Trump.
Look at that. It's a national miracle. A national miracle. Have we ever had a national miracle before? What President Donald Trump has done in D.C. and Memphis and all these other cities, the way he's been able to utilize his, executive power to actually do good and protect citizens and make things safer. I mean, it's a national miracle. And it will be studied for years to come. That was Stephen Miller. And the best part, by the way, of Stephen Miller's speech, which I love a good Stephen Miller speech. Stephen Miller speeches are my favorite. Miller time, we call it. But the best thing about Stephen Miller's speech wasn't him saying what Donald Trump has done to keep Memphis and D.C. and other American cities safe is a national miracle that will be studied for years to come. That's not even the best part of that speech. The best part of the speech is what President Donald Trump said to Kash Patel immediately after.
So, Cash, see if you can top that.
I don't. Hey, Cash, what do you got? Stephen Miller just said that I'm a national miracle, or that what I did was a national miracle, and people are going to be studying it for years to come. And I've altered the course of American history. What do you got, Cash?
That's a tough one, Cash.
That is tough. Mr. President, as I look around this venue, I see, and I'm reminded again, why we have the greatest warriors on God's green earth, the men and women serving in uniform, the men and women serving and wearing the badge, and law enforcement, our police, our sheriffs around the state of Tennessee. I'm reminded that Americans exist to protect this country day in and day out, and they've done it like we've done it here. But what we didn't have was you. We didn't have a commander-in-chief who backed the blue, who resourced the blue, who funded the military, who did whatever it takes to safeguard every single life. And here in Memphis, Tennessee, you have put on a show for the world. You have allowed us to go out there and capture gangbangers, rapists, murderers, drug dealers at record historic levels. And for me, a first-generation Indian-American kid whose parents fled a genocide in East Africa to become the 9th director of the FBI, I'm living the wildest dream you could possibly imagine, sir. But it's thanks to you. But more importantly, what I see when I look out across our great partners here in the interagency and our great legislatures and our great prosecutors and our great attorney general who has the guts to go out there and make arrests, turn them into prosecutions and put people in prison, you are giving that dream to every single child in the state of Tennessee. You are inspiring the nation and law enforcement to come up and wear the badge and wear the colors of this country and safeguard our men and women for generations to come. This is an enduring mission, Mr. President, because you have made it enduring. It is going to go on for generations to come. They are going to try to achieve what you accomplished here, what Stephen said, in just one short year, and they're going to be doing it for decades because America was smart enough to elect you as our commander-in-chief. So while we're out there fighting for the dreams of our children, just know, Mr. President, how many millions of dreams like mine are going to be lived thanks to your brilliant leadership. Mr. President, thanks for delivering America the safest country on God's green earth.
Thank you very much.
I mean, that was pretty good. I'll be honest with you. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good follow-up. He definitely took, he picked up the mantle. It was a little bit of a one-upsmanship. Stephen Miller rolls in with hey, this is a national miracle. And Kash Patel's like, oh yeah, thank you for making this the greatest, safest country on God's green earth. And I'm sitting there, I'm getting a little weepy. I'm a little teary-eyed. I had shivers, chills up my spine after hearing the two of them talk about how great President Donald Trump has made this country. And look, and it's not, it's all true. It's not just hyperbole. When you look at these cities, when you look at the people who live in these cities, they are grateful and they are thankful and they are excited to be living in a place where they no longer have to fear for their lives. They no longer have to fear driving around and getting carjacked. They no longer have to fear somebody just attacking them on their way back from a restaurant or somewhere. It's all safe again. And the only thing that's going to happen now, because here's what's going to happen. Here's what you're starting to see. What's going to happen now is you're going to see these blue cities and these blue states as more and more of these red cities and these red states, as they become safer, as Washington, D.C. becomes, this national miracle as Memphis becomes this national miracle, as Stephen Miller said it, all of these blue cities and states, their leadership is going to dig in, right? They're going to say, no, we don't want Donald Trump's help in Chicago. We don't need the armed guards walking around. We're fine with the crime. Fine with the crime. That should be Chicago's motto. That's what's his name? Mayor Johnson, is that his name? Brandon Johnson, is that right? Pritzker, he's the governor. That should be like, welcome to Chicago. We're fine with the crime. Because they are. Because they're doing nothing to stop it. They're doing nothing to mitigate it. They're not getting national support or help from the National Guard, from the executive branch. They're allowing criminals to run rampant in their society, attacking their citizens. They're allowing illegal aliens to run around with sanctuary status, whatever that is, doing whatever they want to do. And they don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the desire. They don't have the capability to stop any of it. And so what do? They don't stop any of it. And then, so all of a sudden, what you have is you have just a bunch of lawlessness in these major cities. And that means that people start to move out. That means that people no longer want to bring their business there. That means that the tax revenue goes down. That means that everything starts to collapse. And all you have to do is invite the federal government to come in and say, hey, listen, can you help us not have our people murdered? And then the federal government will do, sure, no problem, in record time. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They want people to stay in Washington, in these blue cities and states, and they want to tax them out the wazoo, and they don't want to protect them. And if you're getting taxed out the wazoo, which you are in these blue cities and states, and you see all of your tax money going to illegal aliens and not to the police, if you start to see that, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to leave. You're going to be like, I don't want to do it. I don't want anything to do with that. In fact, Kathy Hochul, she got me. You want to talk about horrible governors? Kathy Hochul basically she was interviewed by the Politico. Kathy Hochul went in there and she basically said, we need rich people to come back because I don't have any more money to pay for my social programs. Listen to this.
And being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, Wall Street, businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking in.
Yeah. And so she's basically saying, we need the rich people to come back because we need your money. Not we need the rich people to come back and we're going to tax you less. Not we need rich people to come back and we're going to make sure that you're safe and secure. Not, hey, rich people, come back. We changed New York City. We got rid of all the illegal aliens. We got rid of all the crime. We got rid of all the weed trucks on the corner of Times Square. Rich people, come on back to New York. You're going to love it. And we're going to cut your tax burden in half. Bring back all of your employees. Bring back all of your corporations. She's not saying any of that. She's saying, come back because we need your money for our social welfare programs. Come back. It's your patriotic duty to move back to New York, to bring all of your resources back to New York and cut us a check, because that's the only way we can do it. She literally said, we're in competition with other states that have lower tax burdens. Okay, well, you know what happens when you're in competition with other people? You change something. You make your offer more attractive. You offer something to individuals to compete with that state. That's what competition is. If Florida has no income tax, which we have no income tax, if Florida has, the most beaches than any other state, which we do, if Florida, has law enforcement agents who are respected and who enforce the law and low crime rates, if we have, all that kind of, if we have all that, if we're the free state of Florida, if you can carry a gun and protect yourself and not have to worry about someone breaking into your house, you shooting them, and then you going to jail, In New York, they have one of the most stringent gun laws, concealed carry laws in the country. And it's one of the least safe places that there is. So Kathy Hochul's not willing to compete on any of those aspects in New York. She just wants to beg rich people to come back because it's their patriotic duty to spend their money on whatever these social justice programs are that Kathy Hochul is laying out. Again, this is how Democrats think, and this is why they fail. And the more that they, and it's a really easy fix, as Donald Trump pointed out, right? Like Donald Trump's like, hey, here's what we do. We come in. In fact, there's another clip of him when he was at Graceland. He basically said, here's what we're doing. It's my first time at Graceland, but he said, yeah, we're here because Memphis is safe again.
Hello, everybody. We were here and we're touting how well it's done with the crime stats, and over a period of 5 months, it's way, way down, and we're proud of it. We're going to come back in 2 or 3 months, and we'll have a very, very, one of the safest cities. So Memphis went through a terrible thing, and like in D.C., we're doing great, and every place we go, we're doing great, to be honest with you. So, Frank, I'd love to go to Chicago. I'd love to be invited to Chicago. We would get rid of crime in Chicago very easily, but the Democrats don't want to do that. I'd love to go to San Francisco, would make it something, would bring it back to where it was. And the mayor's working hard. He's a Democrat. He's working hard there, but we could do things that they just can't do. But every place we go, and Memphis, I guess you probably heard the crime numbers are way down. Most of them are down by 75% and more. And within 2 or 3 months, we'll have it down to over 90%. So you have to be happy. Elvis would be very happy about that, right?
Everyone loves Elvis.
I love Elvis, too. Elvis, they all say, did you know Elvis? So I knew Frank Sinatra. I knew most of them. Unfortunately, I never met Elvis, and that would be one I would have liked a lot. But I do like his music, I will say. So thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you like his music because it's blaring there in the background. But Donald Trump said, look, we came into Memphis and we did a great job, and we'd love to go to these other cities, but there's things we can do that they can't do. Until there's a change in leadership, that's never going to happen. And the people in Chicago, the people in San Francisco, they're not changing their leadership. They're not changing the people at the top. And if you don't change the people at the top, if you keep the Trump deranged people at the top of your political structure, then you're going to live in a crime riddled area. And these cities too. I mean, that's the thing. DC is a beautiful city when there's no graffiti, when there's no homeless people, when there's no crime. DC it's supposed to be a beautiful city. It is not just the capital of the United States of America. It's basically the capital of the world. It is the capital of the largest and strongest economic and military center on the globe. So DC should be the shining jewel, and that's why Donald Trump wants to build he wants to redo the Kennedy Center. That's why he wants to build the Arc de Triomphe. That's why he wants to build the big, beautiful ballroom so when people come to DC, they can see it and they can dance in it and they don't have to go to the bathroom in a porta potty. All things that you think a great city would have. But all these other cities are also great. Memphis is a great city for a very long time until it, kind of fell under. San Francisco, beautiful city. I mean, San Francisco was the jewel of the West Coast, even more so than LA. But it fell on hard times. There's poop on the streets. There's homeless people with needles in their arms. There's Nancy Pelosi wandering around without a mask at the hair salon. And even her husband's not safe because he got hammered by some dude in his underwear in the middle of the night. Although that may have been, he may have enjoyed, I don't know, that may have been a thing that he actually wanted. I don't know what happened with that whole thing. That's still kind of up in the air. But those are the kinds of things that Donald Trump is trying to get rid of. Not Paul Pelosi hanging out with a dude in his underwear and getting hammered, but the other crime, bringing these elements out so that the cities can return to greatness. Because once you have a safe city, not only do you have industry come back, but you have tourism come back. And when you have tourism come back, the economy grows. And when the economy grows, everything's better. That's the one thing we've learned from President Donald Trump, that money fixes pretty much every problem. And and there are people that say, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Money. If you have problems, odds are more money would fix whatever problem you have. And that's why most people are out there trying to make more money, because they know that it's one of the reasons you have problems is because you don't have any money. So if you get more money, then you'll have fewer problems. And that is something that we can all learn and we should all live by, because it's going to make for a much better country. Now we're watching to see what happens with the Save America Act, because the Save America Act is truly that. It is exactly what they talk about. And the more that the Democrats are against it, the more you better believe that it is decent. The more the Democrats are against the Save America Act, the more you better believe it's something that we need. Remember, we have a motto. Patriots have a motto. All the Patriots, if you ever read the Patriot Manifesto, the motto is, if the Democrats are happy, you shouldn't be. And vice versa. Meaning if the Democrats are sad, that means something's going right. If the Democrats are angry, that means we're on the brink of something very good. If the Democrats are angry, well, then odds are that we've gone in the direction that we need to go in, because there's going to be something that makes them angry on the horizon. And if the Democrats are angry, celebrate. Not for long, because you can't celebrate long. You can celebrate quickly, because eventually they're going to figure it out and they're going to regroup and they're going to come up with some other devious scheme to get what they want pushed through. They'll come up with some other plot or some other plan to push through and make it unbearable for the rest of us and get whatever it is that they need to get the money or the power or the voting, the illegal aliens to vote, whatever it is. They're going to do it. They're going to leverage your pain and suffering, just like they did with the TSA. They're going to leverage your pain and suffering, and they're going to make sure that they can get what they want. Otherwise, oh, by the way, speaking of which, Chuck Schumer was on with Joe and Mika talking about Iran, because, there's the thing about the Democrats is they will never, ever, ever, ever admit when something is right. The ICE agents at the airport, for example, we saw clip after clip after clip of CNN and everyone else saying, hey, these ICE agents at the airport, that actually worked out great. That was great for us. But there was another clip of Chuck Schumer on with Joe and Mika. And here it is. Listen to this. This is Joe Scarborough hammering Chuck Schumer about Iran, the war in Iran, and President Donald Trump being right about Iran.
Iran sees that they have real leverage here, right, that it's harder and harder.
All right, so Senator,
here's how we ought to get out.
No, hold on a second. Okay. You got to answer my question first.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing that Iran, and I think you would agree with me, epicenter of terrorism in the world since 1979, is it good that their military infrastructure is being degraded to the degree that it is? Yes or no?
It's you can't, because it's a premature question. What is going to happen in the next several months?
No, I can ask that question.
Well, you can't separate.
No. I can't. So you have a military side of it. I can show you my chart, but I think I threw it away. You have the military side, you have the political side. I'm simply asking on the military side, is it good, regardless of whether we agree with going in or not, is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously degraded?
And again, I have to tell you, Joe, first, you can't, what's going to happen 3 months from now? Is it worth it? What's going to happen? Will the world economy collapse? Will something happen even worse? Will the whole energy infrastructure of the world go up in smoke? So you have to, when they do it without planning, when they do it without understanding where they're going,
Senator,
where they're going,
but
I don't think it's fair.
It's a trick question.
No, it's not. Yes, it is.
It's a trick question. Listen to that. No. Chuck Schumer. So Joe Scarborough, I don't know who approved this. I guess maybe maybe the editors were off, or maybe the associate producer wasn't there. Who knows? But somehow Joe Scarborough was allowed to ask Chuck Schumer a legitimate question about Iran and the degradation of their military. Hey, Chuck Schumer, Senator Schumer, Minority Leader Schumer, you can admit, surely we can agree that Iran not having a military capability, ballistic missiles, a navy that's operational, surely this major state sponsor of terror who's responsible for, well, killing and terrorizing and bombing and shooting and maiming Americans and Israelis and Europeans all over there, surely we can agree that degrading and decimating their military is a good thing, right? And Chuck Schumer can't answer that question. He can't bring himself to answer that question and go, well, look, yes, you're right. And so then everyone was like, it's a trick question. How is it a trick question? It's not a trick question. It's a question.
Not strategize the consequences
I
of
agree with
the
you.
action, the military action. If you obliterate and do all these things, but you don't actually play out in your minds and have strategy for the consequences, then it may not be good.
Let me answer the question for everybody in America. The answer, yes. It's good that the terrorist regime, their military has been, and capabilities have been degraded radically. The question, Mike, though, is political. It's the political question.
No.
What is the political impact? What's the impact in the Straits? What's the impact in the region?
Joe, in all due respect, if you ask the American people, if you have the choice of degrading the military structure in Iran, but having gasoline be $6 a gallon, and our economy falling into a deep recession where millions lose their job, what do you think Americans
Senator, you're not
would say?
listening to me. That's the political side.
No, it's not political.
Okay.
It's a consequence, just like Mika said.
All right, why don't we talk about the Yankees, because you're not following me here.
I am
with all
following
due
you.
respect.
I just don't agree with you.
No, what you don't understand me. There's a big difference. I would say that most Americans would say it's a good thing that it's degraded. Would they agree that we should have gone to war, Mike? I think most Americans, you look at the polls, they don't want this war.
Okay.
They don't want this war, but there is, it's something that I think the Democrats should be, I think it's something, with all due respect, Democrats should be clear about. Iran has tried to kill Americans since 1979. Do you think, hold on.
Wow. This is, who knew? I mean, Joe Scarborough is going after Chuck Schumer. Apparently they struck a nerve. Somewhere, Chuck Schumer not answering his question really struck a nerve. It really kind of broke open some kind of conservative side of Joe Scarborough, and he's not going to let Chuck Schumer get away with it.
Things can be true at once. It can be good that Iran's killing machine has been degraded. At the same time, the consequences may outweigh the good that come from that.
Okay,
it's okay
look,
to say that.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't disagree.
You know, the fact that the leader Khamenei is gone, no one regrets that. The fact that Iran has less ability to create military trouble is no one disputes that.
Create military trouble, and Joe Scarborough's like, you kill people is what they kill people is what that's the phrase you're looking for.
But you have to look. I don't think it's political, to be very honest with you. It's the consequences, the military, the geopolitical, the economic consequences.
I'm saying geopolitical.
You got to let me finish.
You just said what I was saying. The geopolitical consequences.
Right. It's not just the economic consequences.
Right.
Again, let me ask the question again. If you ask the American people, and you had the package together, because we don't know how bad it's going to get, but we know it's pretty bad now. I think most of them would have said, no, we shouldn't have gone to war. And by the way,
most of them have said that.
We shouldn't have gone to war.
Right.
And I'll tell you this: if they would have done it right, if they would have voted, if the Republicans would have voted with us on the War Powers Act, all these questions would have been asked ahead of time.
Right.
Instead of Donald Trump's willy-nilly, one day yes, one day no. This is our reason. That is our reason.
Right.
So I don't think the question can be taken in just one slice.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So there, one slice of cheese, like I put on my raw burgers when I grilled them. That was. It's very interesting to see when the mainstream media strays away from Chuck Schumer's message. And 10, 15 years ago, probably 10 years ago, Chuck Schumer never would have been disrespected like that. This just goes to show you how far Chuck Schumer has fallen in the eyes of the Democrat operatives in the Democrat Party. Chuck Schumer would never have been disrespected by a morning show host. That would have been Joe Scarborough's last day on the job. MSNBC or MS Now or whatever they're called now, they would have brought him into the office. They would have said, hey, thank you for your service. But Chuck Schumer was disrespected by you, and he's demanded that you be gone, and you would have been gone. You would not have had a career after a showing like that. But Chuck Schumer no longer calls the shots. Chuck Schumer is no longer the bigwig. Chuck Schumer is fighting for his political life every single day. He's fighting against AOC and Jasmine Crockett and the rest of the young, whippersnappers on the left. And as a result, he is powerless. And everybody knows it. And Joe Scarborough will put him on television and admonish him and go after him and berate him and shush him and say, be quiet. Answer my question. You got to answer my question first. He'll do all of those things because, as we said before, he knows that Chuck Schumer is no longer the king of the Democrat Party. the king of the Democrat Party is now, I don't know, AOC, somebody like that. Listen, if you are interested in protecting yourself against war in Iran, against the fluctuation of oil prices or the stock market, if you're interested in really truly protecting yourself and your financial future, you need to investigate a gold IRA. And the best place to investigate it is at markswealthstrategy.com. That's my website. You can see my photo right there, markswealthstrategy.com. If you go there, you can get your free gold guide. Because retirement, look, it's right around the corner. You don't even know how quickly it's going to come up. But you need to go to markswealthstrategy.com and investigate a gold-based IRA. Because if you've got one of those typical stock-based IRAs, well, you've probably seen what happens. It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. But gold has been standard and stable for years, doubled in price. And if you had your money in a gold-based IRA or a precious metal-based IRA from Augusta Precious Metals, then you would see that your financial future is way more stable. And you can get one of those, by the way. You can get all the information you need by going to markswealthstrategy.com, markswealthstrategy.com. Or if you want, you can text the word wealth to 32052 and you can get the same information. Now, in just a moment, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, will be swearing in the new Secretary of Homeland Security, a guy by the name of Markwayne Mullin. And again, Markwayne is one word. I'm going to try to do this. I thought it was going to start here. I mean, I didn't think it was going to start on time because Donald Trump never starts anything on time, but I thought it was going to start here before we wrapped up. We'll hang out here for just one more second and see if it does begin, because Markwayne Mullin was confirmed by the Senate. He was confirmed something like 54 to 46 or something like that, or 53. Anyway, it wasn't a slam dunk. It wasn't like Marco Rubio numbers, but it was enough. And no, Rand Paul didn't vote for him, but it was enough to get him confirmed to be the next Secretary of Homeland Security. I believe that he'll be the 9th Secretary of Homeland Security, after Kristi Noem, has been reassigned to be the special envoy to the Shield of the Americas, this new thing that I'm pretty sure Donald Trump made up so that he could give Kristi Noem something to do. But Markwayne Mullin, he made it, and there's supposed to be a ceremony. I imagine it's going to be just in the Oval Office, and I thought it was going to start before now. But if it doesn't start, that's okay. We will bring you all of the highlights tomorrow. The best thing you can do, if you have not yet done this, is subscribe to this channel. Whether you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You want to make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, wherever it is, because, man, there's all kinds of information that you need to know. You need to know who's coming after you. You need to know who is attacking you. You need to know. Oh, wait, it's starting.
It's been a long time.
Oh, here we go. All right, let's listen
in.
Huh? We'll watch a little bit of this. This is Markwayne Mullin getting sworn in by President Trump.
You all set?
Are we all? We're all set.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great day for me because I have a lot of confidence in this gentleman. And we're thrilled to swear in our new Secretary of Homeland Security, a great American patriot, to put it mildly, Markwayne Mullin. And I want to just say, Markwayne, congratulations. Great. Thank you. You deserve it. You're a great man. Let me also thank Secretary Mullin's beautiful family, including his wife, Kristi. Thank you. His sons, Jim and Jace and Andrew, and daughters, Lara, Ivy, Lynette, and other members of the Mullin family. It's a beautiful family. And we know this guy, he's our big top wrestling guy. I won't wrestle him for anything. An all-American wrestler, huh? Good, you have good genetics in that family. Proud of you. Thanks as well to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Chairman Jason Smith, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, and many other friends that are gathered with us. It's a great group of people. For 13 years, Markwayne has represented the incredible state of Oklahoma, a state that I won 77 out of 77 counties 3 times in a row, so they like me there. Second was Ronald Reagan at 56. Did you know that? 56, that's not bad. But 77, it's 77 out of 77, I think, right? That's not bad. But he was there in Congress as a member of the House and then as an outstanding United States Senator. And he really has been outstanding. He's been a close and vital partner in helping us secure the border, stop migrant crime, end the scourge of illegal drugs, and make America safe again and make America great again. and he's a tremendous player. He worked with Tom Homan, worked with all of our people on the right, and many more. And everything he's done has been good. I say everything he touched, he's turned to gold. Now, but even in business, he was successful, in all fairness. And he was successful, and he said, I want to go into politics. I hope you're happy. But as the only Native American, I didn't know that, huh? Let me look at you. Well, I think that's all right. He's got great quality, I can tell you. It's the only Native American in the Senate. How many have been there before you? Do you know? Native American? I think 3. 3. Well, you're a fantastic representative. Mark Wayne has also been a fantastic advocate for our cherished tribal communities. He's now the first member of the Cherokee Nation ever to serve as a member of the cabinet. I didn't know all these things. I would have picked him faster if I had known. I would have made a quicker decision. Prior to his career in public service, Mark Wayne had a very successful career in business, leaving school at age 20 after his father got sick, taking over his family business and turning it into a multi-million-dollar success story. He's a very successful guy. Mark Wayne has also a career as an MMA fighter. That's why I looked at his ears and I said, I'm not going to fight with him. You can tell a lot about a person by their ears, right? During which he went totally undefeated. He was undefeated during his career, and he's been inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame. And the family is made of fantastic wrestlers, especially that guy right there. That's my favorite guy, huh? And suffered bad injury and come back stronger than ever, I think. So good to have you, man, right? I have no doubt that as he takes the helm of DHS, Mark Wayne will fight for Homeland Security, the United States, and securing the country and making it really strong and the way it should be. Our country's come a long way in the last year. We set it up so beautifully, and then we had 4 years of horror. We had 4 years of disgusting horror, open borders, and things that nobody would even think of. You wouldn't even think of. 25 million people poured into our country, and we've gotten a lot of them out, but we have a lot more to go. 11,888 murderers came into our country. People came in from all over the world, from prisons and gangs, gang members, drug dealers, people from mental institutions, insane asylums. That's the mental institution times 2. And what they allowed to happen to our country can never be allowed to happen again, and it won't. With Mark Wayne, we have somebody that's strong, professional, and fair. As you know, the department that Mark Wayne takes over today is currently shut down by radical left Democrat thugs in Congress who have blocked all funding for DHS because they're trying to shield illegal alien criminals, gang members. They want to protect them from being taken out of the country, drug dealers, murderers. They're protecting them all. I don't know how people can vote for these people. You know, I see the midterms are close. I don't know what close means, but I don't know how people can vote for them. You take a look, men, they want men to be able to play in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. Terrible, but that's the way it is. They don't want to give voter ID. They don't want voter ID for elections. They don't want proof of citizenship for elections. And then they get to vote. They do cheat, but I don't know, it's hard to believe they can cheat that much. Just in the past few days, we've seen the horrifying consequences of Democrats' deadly open border extremism. They want open borders, and they want to open the borders again if they have their chance, because they think they're going to get votes by doing that. On Thursday, a precious 18-year-old college student named Sheridan Gorman was shot and killed while she was walking in a park. She was just walking in the park, didn't do anything. The illegal alien monster charged with Sheridan's brutal murder had come illegally from Venezuela and been released into our country by Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. And I don't say that because I think he's fine, he's okay. I don't like him, dislike him. I talk about job performance. That's all I care about, job performance. Worst president in history. And Obama wasn't far behind, by the way. But he was then arrested and released again by Democrat governor, a real slob of a governor, J.B. Pritzker, in the sanctuary city of Chicago, which we could make safe in 2 months, I would say. 2 months. If we sent in the group, Tom, right? 2 months would be good. 3 months, very good. 4 or 5 months, it would be great. But they would never call because they don't want to do that. All they have to do is call and ask for a little help. The Democrats in Congress do not care how much American blood they shed in their demented pursuit of open borders. From Sheridan Gorman to Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley, their quest to flood our country with illegal aliens has left countless American victims in its wake. They never changed. They see what's happening. They never change. That's what they want. They want to get the votes. With sanctuary and sanctuary cities going at levels that they are, and we've ended a lot. We've done a lot. But for some reason, they love it. It's a sanctuary. You know, sanctuary cities are sanctuary for, it's really a sanctuary for criminals. With Secretary Mullen at DHS, we will continue our record-setting efforts to deport these illegal alien criminals from our country, and we are doing at record levels despite a very unfair court system, a radicalized left court system, and others that I'm not too fond of also. And we'll protect innocent American lives. Every single illegal migrant who is a criminal record must be deported immediately. If they have a criminal record, you got to deport them. And there's a lot that came in under Biden. And Kamala, the great border czar, Kamala, who never went to the border, never called Border Patrol, never once called Border Patrol. Can you imagine that, Jim? She's the border czar. She never called Border Patrol. Explain that to me. He's the worst. She was as bad as he was. Going to give him IQ tests next week. Under the Trump administration, we've achieved unprecedented gains on public safety. Yesterday, we were in Memphis, Tennessee, to celebrate the steepest reduction in crime ever recorded. We've been there for about 5 months, and the numbers, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And thanks to our Memphis Safe Task, it's called Safe Task Force, alongside our efforts in Washington, D.C. And what we've done in Washington is amazing. We have Washington as a safe city now. It's been amazing. It's been, if you go back a year and a half, 2 years ago, Washington was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, let alone this country. And now we have a very safe city. And what they've done with all of the people working, many of the people standing right there, has been incredible. And now we're going to see all of our cities take a big step because of Mark Wayne. In 1 year, my administration, we've created the most secure border in the United States history and the largest drop in illegal immigration ever recorded, slashed the illegal fentanyl crossings on our border by 64%, and accomplished the largest decline in the murder rate in the history of our country, bringing it down to 1,900. That's before my father was born. My father was born a little bit after that. He wouldn't be happy mentioning this because he never liked talking about age, but he lived to be a ripe old age. But that's before my father was born. Think of it, 1,900. We have a record, 1,900. Murders last year were at the lowest level in 125 years, and we're making America safe again. We're doing it at levels that nobody, everything we're doing, we're making great. The border is great. The military is great. We're having, by the way, a tremendous success, as you know, in Iran. We had one in Venezuela, and now we're having one in Iran. They have no Navy left. They have no Air Force left. They have no anti-aircraft equipment left, no radar left, no leaders left. The leaders are all gone. Nobody knows who to talk to. But we're actually talking to the right people, and they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal. And we'll see what happens. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you're doing over there is really incredible. You and the general and all of the other generals and colonels and captains and majors and everybody else, right? It's a perfect, amazing thing. We make the best military equipment in the world. Now we're going to make it faster. We want to get it faster. But we make the best in the world. We're doing a job. So I'd like to ask Attorney General Bondi to come and do the honors of swearing in a man who's going to do a phenomenal job for our country. And I tell you, your family has to be very proud. You have to be very proud. Absolutely. Everybody wanted this job. I said, there's one man for this job, and I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Pam. Come on over.
Come on over, Pam Bondi, and do something finally. I wonder if she'll actually do this or if she's just going to put it off.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Mark Wayne Mullen.
Mark Wayne Mullen.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And that I will bear true faith to allegiance and do the same.
And that I take this obligation freely.
And take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully.
And that I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties of the office.
Discharge the duties of the office.
On which I am about to enter.
Which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Secretary.
Hey.
There you go. Mark Wayne Mullen is now the new Secretary of Homeland Security, no longer a senator. Oh, he's going to say some words.
Thank you. I think that was the most nervous I've ever been. It just seems surreal being in the Oval Office and having the President of the United States speak so highly of me and then recognize my family and know my family by name. It's humbling. And I never take it for granted, but I've made this very clear that I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same, and we will do that. I'll fight every single day. Today I got the privilege of meeting so many of the employees at DHS. These employees have been there for 30 days without pay. And if you need anything to know their dedication to show up and still protect the homeland that you and I enjoy and the freedoms that we're experiencing, they're working with for free because of political politics. That's all I need to know. I told them, as you're fighting 365 days, understand I'll be fighting 365 days beside you. No one's going to outwork me, and I'm not going to let any of them outwork me. The President has entrusted me with this, and failure is not an option. And so thank you so much, Mr. President, for this opportunity. I won't let you down.
Thank you very much. I love that expression, no one's going to outwork me. That's a wrestler's expression, isn't it? Huh? That's a good wrestler's expression. Yes, please.
Mr. President, will the Secretary's replacement in the Senate support the SAVE Act and the use of the talking filibuster to get it through?
Well, it's not the SAVE Act. It's not called this. It's called the Save America Act. There's a big
get it
difference,
right,
'cause
lady.
The SAVE Act, nobody knows what that means. Save America means Save America. And I can't speak for him, but I would imagine that Mark Wayne, I didn't even ask him the question because who wouldn't support it? Voter ID with a picture. You want citizenship, proof of citizenship. Ideally, you want to end mail-in ballots because there's tremendous corruption. Then we added a couple of things, Mark Wayne, like I don't think being a great athlete and having a family of great athletes, they have produced great athletes in this family, all-American wrestlers. They especially like wrestling, by the way. And what about baseball? Do you play baseball? Anything? They like wrestling. But I don't think that you would say that his family, and I don't know this for a fact, and I shouldn't say it because I could get myself. Does anybody in your family want men to play in women's sports? I don't think so, Jim, right? I don't think so. I don't think. How would they do? Would they do good wrestling you? They would be in trouble? He said, yes, they'd be in big trouble. It's so crazy. So that would be one. And then we have a few others that we call them the best of Trump.
What's
But
she
if you
looking at?
look
Move back, lady in pink.
Mutilization of children, we don't want that. It's the mutilization of children. We don't want that. So generally speaking, I think I can answer that Mark Wayne would be very much in favor of what I'm in favor of. Would you say that's right, Mark? I can't think of too many things. He might be worse. He might be worse than me. That's my look at his wife and say, that's right. But so, yeah, he's going to be great. Yeah.
Do you believe the Secretary will run DHS any differently than Kristi Noem did? What do you hope to see as his priorities?
Well, we had a good run. Look, we created the strongest border with the help of that man right there. Tom is so incredible, and he's going to be a big influence here, too. There's nobody more professional, nobody better. There's nobody better as a human being. You know, he looks tough, but he's got a good heart. But not too good. Don't make it too good. But You know, we had Tom. We have the safest border we've ever had. We have a lot of assets, but a lot of things we can do, and we're going to do. We have to get criminals out of our country that were allowed in by Biden. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you support what appears to be a merging agreement coming out of the Senate to reopen DHS?
Well, I'm going to look at it, and we're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans, and you know, sometimes it's awfully hard to get votes when you have Democrats that don't want to have voter ID. They don't want to have proof of citizenship. They don't want to do anything about men playing in women's sports. That's one of the items we put on, you know. And I did that just because it's so popular. You know, they say that's at least an 80-20 issue. No, it's about a 99-1. I don't think it's, what do you think, Pete? Do you think it's 80-20? Who's closer, 80-20 or 99-1?
Almost 100.
Yeah, I think 100 is really the, so, you know, so I support that, and I support common sense.
Would you be comfortable with a deal that involves separating ICE funding from the DHS funding package in order to reopen?
Well, they're working on all of that. You know, that's a detail that they'll explain later. Please.
Election integrity and DHS measures. Mr. President, since CISA falls under DHS, and given that many credible voices have raised concerns over its premature and possibly likely faulty 2020 election assessment, will you and Secretary Mullen implement reforms at CISA and at DHS to ensure full confidence in future elections, like in the upcoming?
About it. We'll talk about it. You know, pros and cons. Look, they used it to try and put me in prison, right? So I can't be thrilled with it. They used that very strongly, very illegally. The Democrats are thugs, and I don't want to say that. It'd be nice to everyone get along, but it's a different country than it was years ago. It was very dangerous the way they used it. And they weaponized government. They used that to weaponize government. So I'm not thrilled, but I'll also go along with two groups of people, the military, and I think the military likes it, right? And I'll go along with the senators. I'm fine. But I was a big victim of it. Yeah, please.
Are you going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians?
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations, as it turned out, and now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? Look, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their communications are gone. That's the biggest problem. It's very hard to communicate them between themselves. All of the anti-aircraft is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. We either shot them or they shot them and don't have them anymore. They're down to a trickle. They're pretty much everything they have is gone. I don't know. Can you name one thing that's not gone, or can you name one thing that's doing well? You know, if you read the papers, you think we're tied. You think we're in a tough battle. We are roaming free over Tehran, the city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want. And as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world. And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating. Yeah.
What do you think was the turning point to make you want to pursue a ceasefire? A few days ago, you said you wanted to continue bombing Iran. Now you want to pursue peace talks. Was there something that happened?
The fact that they're talking to us and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
How do you ensure they won't have a nuclear
your
weapon?
Former Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bavino, said his only regret is that he didn't catch more illegal aliens. What's your reaction to that?
Who said that?
That's your former Border Patrol Chief. He just retired.
Well, I mean, we captured a lot. They were allowed into the country by Sleepy Joe and that group of incompetent people that were, he was the worst president ever, the group of incompetent people. To me, that's the biggest scar. Inflation, they caused the highest inflation we've ever had. We've already gotten rid of it. The biggest scar is what they did, the people that they allowed from prisons all over the world. They came from the Congo, from all over South America. Rough people. really tough people. So, no, I understand what he means. He says, he would have liked to have captured more. I'm not capturing so much as removing. We're removing thousands of people, and many are self-deporting because we're going after them so powerfully that they're self-deporting, Tom, going back. I think that's one of the big unkept secrets. We have thousands and thousands of people, and they're self-deporting. They're going back to where they came from. But what we want really is the criminals. We're really focused on those criminals, getting them out. Yeah.
What's your message right now to Democrats and also to Americans that are stuck in airports? It's really devastating watching it online because Democrats won't fund DHS.
What's devastating?
Your message to Americans right now stuck in airports as we speak because Democrats won't
Well,
fund
they just
DHS?
don't. They won't. Look, this is a deal that was done in the Great Big Beautiful Deal, which gave you the biggest tax cuts ever, including no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security for the seniors. Think of it, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you buy a car. You take money, you pay interest on the money, you deduct it. We've never had that for people buying cars, if it's an American car, only if it's an American car. But they are just they stick together, the Democrats. I tell you, I give them great credit for that. We have some that they're not good stickers. We have guys like Tom Massey in Congress, who's terrible. He's just terrible, terrible person. I call him Rand Paul Jr. But they don't vote. Rand Paul, rarely votes for stuff. Likes me, says I'm a great president. He said the other day, I'm a great president, one of the greatest presidents. But I said, do me a favor, vote for us and don't call me a great. I'd rather have the vote than the statement. But we have people that don't stick together, and those people hopefully will someday be gone. The thing I most respect about the Democrats, even on horrible policy, they stick together. What they do have, though, is horrible policy.
Also true.
Transgender for everyone, open borders, men and women's sports. They have the worst policy that you can imagine. And so whether they stick together or not, they have just this terrible policy. We have great policy. Republicans have great policy. We have common sense policy, but it's great policy. That's our biggest advantage, is our policy is correct. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Say it.
Are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Yeah,
Why
a
not?
little bit, but more NATO. I think our Gulf allies have been pretty good, to be honest with you. UAE's been hit so hard. He got hit by 1,400 rockets, shot them all out of the air with our great Patriot missiles. Think of it, they shot 100 missiles at one of our aircraft carriers, the Abraham Lincoln, one of the biggest ships in the world, actually. And out of 101 missiles shot, every single one of them was knocked down in the sea. Think of that. Think of what that means. 101 missiles, highly sophisticated, very fast missiles shot. Out of 101, all 101 were shot down, and now, for the most part, lie at the bottom of the sea. Pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. Our military is amazing, Pete. You know the attack I'm talking about recently? 101 shot. I said, wow. I saw that. You can see we have sort of pretty good equipment that we see. It's called the red line. Those red lines were thick, right? I said, that's a lot. And then we saw them one by one just get shot. And these guys that do the shooting are the coolest cucumbers ever. Most people, you don't have a lot of time. When a missile's going at 2,500 miles an hour, I don't care how far away it is, you don't have a lot of time. But I watched them sit down and think. Great students, MITs, a lot of MITs, a lot of guys like this. They're not as much into the muscle as they are this one right here. And amazing to watch them perform under great pressure, because they have a matter of seconds to do it. If they don't do it properly, it's a big problem, because these were powerful. These were very powerful missiles coming. And so a lot of people choke. They don't choke. These guys don't choke. They're the best in the world. We have the best in the world. Yeah.
Mr. President, what would be your message today to the TSA agents who have been staying home in recent days amid this impasse?
Well, some of them are needing money, because the Democrats cut off their money. I blame the Democrats more than anything else. But some of them,
Me too.
they didn't
Me
get
too.
paid because they're not funded by the Democrats. This is a Democrat problem. In fact, I actually said to the Senate, why would you say this is a Democrat problem? I think the polls are showing it's a Democrat problem. And they'll do anything actually to hurt our country so they can try and win the midterms. And if we ever went back to our old policies, we wouldn't have a country left.
If they get a deal, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, to fund all but enforcement operations of ICE, to get those TSA agents repaid and to open up the rest of the department, would you sign that?
Well, I don't want to comment until I see the deal. But as you know, they're negotiating a deal. I guess they're getting fairly close. But I think any deal they make, I'm pretty much not happy with it. These guys came in, they wouldn't pay people. They had a deal to pay. They had to break their deal. The Democrats broke the deal that we had. It was all done. Everything was fine. And then they just said, well, we're not going to pay anymore. And they hurt our country. And at a very difficult time because, we are at, as they would say, a war. They call it a war. I call it a military operation, a very successful one, successful like nobody's ever seen before. Hey, Venezuela was equally as successful. That was a great thing. No, the Democrats had a deal. It was a done deal. And then they said, well, we're not going to pay. And so a lot of people suffered over that and put our country in danger. You have another question? You haven't been here in a while.
Well, on Iran, can you give us any more sense of who exactly in Iran it is either Witkoff, Kushner, and others are speaking with?
Yeah, we had, I hate to say this in front of these young people. They're not children. I spoke to most of them. They sound like adults to me, even though they are sort of children, right? They'll always be your children. But I hate to say it, but we killed all their leadership. And then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that, but let's see how they turn out. We have really regime change. This is a change in the regime because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with that created all those problems. So this was, I think we can say, Jason, this is regime change, right?
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. I mean, that's only because I know you. But if I didn't know you, I'd probably have more trust.
Probably so.
But I don't trust anyone. Why do you say that? Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Well, then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related. And it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Because, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone. As the expression goes, the past supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader was racked up, at a minimum racked up pretty good. And everyone else was gone.
Racked up pretty good. That's a good way to put it.
Many of the people in the third tier are gone.
Yeah.
But we're dealing with a group of people that I think turn out. And the present, the gift they made to us was very significant. And they said they were going to do it, and it happened. And they're the only ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of...
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the strait.
I'm not going to tell you what they gave us, but I'm slowly going to tell you.
No, we're going to...
I'm slowly dribble out the information.
Anything we want. Look, if we can end this without more lives being down, without knocking out $10 billion electric plants that are brand new and the apple of their eye, I'd like to be able to do that, But they can't have certain things. I mean, you know the things. I don't have to go over the list, but again, it starts with no nuclear weapons, and they've agreed to that. There won't be any nuclear weapons. They're not going to have, and they're not going to have enrichment, any of those things. But look, I hate to say that we're in a very good bargaining position. but
we're in a very good.
And I hate to say that they're defenseless because until that last missile is fired, there won't be any nuclear war. But we are in about the best bargaining position. We're way ahead of schedule. And again, they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no missile protection, and most of their missiles are gone. Most of their launchers we've killed. We've killed about 82% of their launchers. So even if they had a missile, they can't launch it. We've been very effective. We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody even comes close. We have the best military equipment in the world. Go ahead.
On Saudi Arabia, there's been some reporting that you've been talking to the Crown Prince. Have you been focused on normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel?
Well, no, we have a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. What do you hear with Saudi Arabia?
Just hearing that you've been talking and that he has been encouraging you to do certain things related to Iran. Can you share?
Well, he's a warrior. He does. Yeah, he's a warrior. He's fighting with us, by the way. Saudi Arabia has been excellent, and UAE, excellent. And I will tell you, Qatar, incredible. Qatar took a hit, a pretty bad hit. Qatar's very close, they're essentially
right there.
Can walk right over the border. Qatar took a hit. They've been great. They've been very strong. Kuwait, they had a little mishap. They shot down 3 planes with our missiles. They happen to be our planes, but the pilots made it. Can you imagine the pilots making it?
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Was coming.
Kuwait, we're not going to forget what Kuwait did.
We're not going to escape Patriots, and they got out of there pretty quick, Pete, right? Pretty amazing that they got out. The 3 pilots lived. They're fine. In fact, they're flying today.
Was the Kuwaitis that accidentally fired the missile?
Yeah, the Kuwaitis made a mistake. They fired. They thought they were firing at the enemy. It was, as the expression goes, friendly fire.
Friendly fire.
But the pilots are great. They're flying today. Pretty amazing when you think of it. Yeah.
President Trump, on a human level, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out? Like as a human,
On what?
On a human level, not as the President of the United States. How hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out with Iran?
You're talking about to end it? Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not a close battle. They're totally defeated. We killed their Navy in, would you say 3 days, Pete? Gone. In fact, I was a little upset with Pete. I said, why didn't you save the ships? We could have used them, right? He said, it's more fun shooting them down. But the Navy was wiped out in a very rapid order. Pretty impressive for you guys, you champion wrestlers, right? When you hear this stuff. But if you read the news, you don't hear this. You read like, oh, they're doing wonderfully. They're doing terribly. They're wiped out. Militarily, they are dead. Yeah.
Is there a new sense of a timeline? Do you want to get something done before the midterms?
Well, we'd like to see President Putin and President Zelensky sit down and make a deal. I think they're getting close, but I've been saying that for a while. I've settled 8 wars. All of them should have been more difficult than this one. This should have been the easiest one. But these are 2 people that truly hate each other. You'll find out that hatred is not good for making deals. These are people that they don't like each other very much. Yeah.
I know you said there's a bunch of people from the administration who are negotiating with Iran. There's been reports that the vice president is leading those negotiations. Is that true?
Well, he's involved in them. JD is involved, and Marco's involved, and Jared Kushner's involved, very smart guy, and Steve Witkoff, smart guy, is involved, and I'm involved. Why? I'm going to be so big. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm the president of the United States, Tom, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's beneath me to talk about saving millions of lives, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't end the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal in my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows if what it would have been so devastating. And if we didn't send those beautiful B-2 bombers, they took them off my desk. They were right there. I don't know why. But if we didn't have those beautiful, the B-2 hit, which was so, we obliterated, despite CNN. CNN said, well, maybe the word obliteration said, no, we obliterated it. Just obliterated their nuclear potential. You would have had them having 2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it. And they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel. And you know why you see that? Because unexpectedly, when this war broke out, unexpectedly, they started sending missiles to UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and elsewhere. And nobody thought they were going to. Were you equally surprised by that, Pete?
Way more than we thought, Mr. President.
Pete, do you want to give about a 3-minute statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation? People don't like me using the word war, but so I won't. But the Democrats call it a war. How about a little statement? I think he's done a very good job. Do we agree he's done a good job, Mark Wayne? Can we take some of your time?
Yeah, Mark Wayne Mullins standing there going, wait a minute, do I have to hang out for this?
You're spot on.
Here's Pete Hegseth.
Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern navy, a modern air force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated. From day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one.
Vicious.
And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the
We
president
negotiate
talked
with
about,
bombs. I
about
like
your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interest of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Appreciate
That was good. I think that was a little less than 3 minutes. I think he came in under.
Quite disappointed. I don't want to say this, but I have to. I said, Pete and General Raisin Kane, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad. Pete didn't want it to be settled. It's these guys are doing a great job. It's a good attitude, though, Tom, right?
Why didn't he want it to be settled?
They were not interested in settlement. They were interested in just winning this thing.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
please.
Mr. President, can you, just taking things locally, hopefully not doing international affairs for a second, do you support the construction of the 2nd Avenue subway in New York City, and will your administration...
Wow, that's really far out, Chris. You know, the 2nd Avenue subway has been under construction for... You're a young guy, is longer than you are old. Okay?
Why is this guy? Why is he asking? Who let this guy in to ask about the 2nd Avenue subway?
20 years. What the hell kind of a question is that?
Yeah, really. What are you doing?
I guess they got to get it finished. They spent trillions of dollars practically. No, they spent more money on that than on anything, I think, in the history of our city, in New York City. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's very sad, actually. The only thing maybe worse was Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, his train. I call it his train wreck because it's a wreck. That's been years. It's literally 30 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it doesn't go to San Francisco and Los Angeles like it was supposed to. They decided to cut it way short because there was no way they could finish it. But it's one of the worst. I've never seen anything like it other than the worst, the Federal Reserve building for almost $4 billion, little building that's going to cost a renovation for $4 billion, headed by our highly incompetent head of the Federal Reserve. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, would you be open, are you hoping to see the Senate pursue Reconciliation 2.0 to fund ICE and pass the Save America
Well,
Act?
we'll see about reconciliation. We're certainly talking about reconciliation, I think, Mark Wayne, right? Do you want to talk about that for a second? Now that he's working, we can get him to do this.
Thank you. Lindsey Graham, the chairman where the reconciliation will funnel through, he is committed to making sure we get reconciliation through. If that is in some form with funding ICE, possibly backfilling from the One Big Beautiful Bill, but also more importantly, the Save America Act. There's a framework that we can do through reconciliation, paying for it, put some of the policies that cost money in, because there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I mean, that's what the American people want. There's 80% of the population say they want only Americans voting, citizens that are registered to vote, citizens that have done it the right way. And I believe that everybody wants an election integrity. So fortunately, Lindsey Graham has said through reconciliation, he's willing to put the framework out for that.
And I think that was said so beautifully, so concisely, so well, your father, that we should let him have the last word, and that was it. That was the last word. Did he do a good job? Are you impressed with your father?
I've never been more impressed with anybody in my life.
How about me? Don't answer. don't answer.
Trick question. It's a trap. Don't ask it.
You like your
Don't
father
answer
better, okay? Come here. Look at this guy. Come here. This guy.
There we go.
Wrestle him. So we'll steal over here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank the family, because without the family, he's not here. You know, he's a different person. And that goes especially for Mom, who looks like she's about 22 years old. I don't know. I see these kids, but she looks very young. But it's a great couple. Congratulations to you both. Thank you. Thank you, Mark Wayne.
There you go. Look at that. Mark Wayne Mullen, the new Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here. We come on in. We're going to get some photos there and that kind of thing. And we're going to have to wrap it up because we went a little bit long, but that was fun. It was a good press conference. We got to hear from Mark Wayne Mullen. We got to hear from the president on Iran. We got to hear from Sekwar Hegseth, which is fun to say. We got to hear from all kinds, and you got to hear from me for a while too. But listen, there's going to be this thing in Iran is not over. Even though President Donald Trump says we've decimated their armies, we've decimated their navy. Well, that's all true. They're not going to be able to fight back. They're not going to be able to come back and win, and they're not anywhere near win. There's no semblance of winning when it comes to Iran. But what we are doing is we are seeing that President Donald Trump is trying to ensure that moving forward, now that their military has been decimated, now that their nuclear capabilities are over, we need to make sure that the leadership is in place that will work with the United States of America, that will work within the region, that will work with the entire world to keep and maintain the peace that we have now through strength. Listen, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you've never subscribed, never watched us before, if you've stumbled upon this show, make sure you subscribe because we do this every day. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, we're all over the place. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Make sure that you follow this podcast so you get it delivered every single day because we bring you information every single day. We bring you entertainment every single day. We bring you inspiration and enlightenment. We let you know who's attacking you, who's lying to you, who's pushing propaganda on you, and we let you know also who's on your side. But most importantly, we want to keep our wits about us. We want to keep our daggers sharp, and we want to make sure that you and me and Patriots all over the globe, no matter when it happens, wherever, whenever, and whoever we have to, we will always be ready to fight, so we can save the Republic.